Welcome back. Today we will be talking about setting up your own cybersecurity and penetration testing lab for your home use. So you can use the lab that you are about to create to prepare for OSCP offline. In case you don't want to enroll directly in OSCP labs and you want to practice on your own to define and determine your own level in penetration testing. So you must have your own lab offline, guys. So basically, it all starts with your Kali Linux. So basically, all of you guys, Kali Linux is a standard operating system used for penetration testing. So first, you download Kali Linux, have it run up and running, and then, as you can see, I have it here. The second thing, guys, is to have some vulnerable boxes. Now, example of vulnerable boxes are Metasploitable 2, Metasploitable 1, and of course, now we have Metasploitable 3, which I'm planning to download and add it to my vulnerable boxes. Now, of course, guys, you need to have Windows system running because you want to practice Windows penetration testing and privilege escalation. So your components, your lab components are an attacking system like Kali Linux. Of course, you can use BlackArch, you can use Parrot OS, these kinds. And the second component is a vulnerable box or vulnerable boxes to practice your own skills. And of course, don't forget the Windows system. It could be vulnerable, it could be up to date. Choose your own Windows version and install it. In my case, it's kind of old, Windows 7. I'm going to download Windows 7, the 10 ones available, and in my own at my disposal, and download it, add it in my box over here. So basically, guys, these are the components, right? Attacking system, vulnerable boxes, and Windows system. You can expand them as much as you want. You can add 100 vulnerable boxes. There are many bunch of them on the internet. You can find them and download. Now, in this video, guys, let's now see how we can prepare first the attacking system. Now, apart from having the right tools to do penetration testing, we need to have the network configuration correctly set up. So how can we make sure that our network configuration are set up securely and correctly? So basically, if you are, assumingly, you are doing that from your home. As you can see, I have my own Windows system here. So basically, I need to know what is the right network configuration for my attacking system and for Metasploitable, for example, as a vulnerable box. So over here, we go to VM and we go to settings. And from settings, make sure you select NAT for the vulnerable boxes and for your Kali Linux. All of them need to be on NAT. Why? Because if you select, let's go back. If you select bridged network mode, it will share the IP address as an attacking system. It's going to share an IP address from your internal network, right? So let's take an example. So for example, here is I'm not sure if just a second. Okay, so here's my command prompt on my Windows system. All right, so here if I type ipconfig, so here is my IP address 192.168.1.3, right? Now this is my Windows system, the host system. Now on Kali, if I select the bridged mode, if I select the bridge mode over here, this one, just a second. Okay. The bridge mode, guys, will give Kali an IP address on the same subnet of my Windows system, which is not recommended for your own security, especially if you have public-facing servers. If I go to terminal here, Okay, clear, and we put if config. We see the IP address on totally different subnet. Why? Because I selected NAT. And this is the configuration I recommend you to follow on all your virtual machines for the purpose of penetration testing and security analysis, right? Okay, it's clear. Now let's go over the right tools that we need to have on our Kali box. So the first tool, guys, Kali Linux has many tools that are more than enough for penetration testing, but some of them are necessary to check. For example, the first one is Nessus. So Nessus, guys, is one of the most used vulnerability scanning and management tools. So make sure you have it. If you don't have it, you can go to Firefox, go to Nessus. The official website is here. Click on free trial, try for free, and fill out your information. Once you fill out your information, you will have the file downloaded to your Kali box. Now the next step is go to terminal. Okay. Okay, sorry. So here we put, once we downloaded the file, we put the package, and then we put the name of the file we just downloaded, which is the Nessus downloaded file, right? Once we click enter, Nessus will be installed on your system, and you can then launch Nessus on your browser, on your local. Okay, if you receive this, make sure you put HTTPS. Okay, so here, because I am signed in already, as you can see, I am welcomed with the screen of Nessus. Now you can start your vulnerability scanning and input the IP addresses. In your case, it's going to be, for example, the IP address of Metasploitable, right? So, or Windows. Now, since this video isn't the scope of explaining Nessus, just to get you up and running, once you have the screen, or once you enter the screen, you can start using Nessus, all right? Okay, let's close these down. Okay, now the next thing, guys, we need to prepare in our box and make sure it is ready for use is compilers. Now, basically, guys, we have a compiler known as Ming compiler. So if you go to Google, Ming compiler, MinGW. So this is a compiler, guys. What does this compiler do, guys? This compiler, we can compile a regular C code, okay, to run on Microsoft Windows systems. So when you have an exploit code developed in C language and you want to turn it into an executable file run on Microsoft, you can use MinGW compiler. If you don't have it, make sure you have it by running sudo apt get install MinG02. The password. All right. Maybe I need to update my repository. If you're not able to download it from the command line, just go here and you can install it for Linux. Several proxies abusing connections. Let's go to, maybe I left the network configuration of Firefox with purpose switch. Let's do it last time. Settings, no proxy. Okay, so you can download it from here, guys, if you are not able to download it via command line. So it's saying, anyway, if you, actually it's kind of old, the MinGW, you can also use GCC. GCC is also a compiler used for this purpose. So this is my, I think, okay. So basically, if you want, if you don't want to use MinGW and you want to use like a compiler to cross-compile between Linux and let's say Windows, you can use something called the cross-compiling. So basically here, let's say, let's go back to, okay. So here, if we paste this comment over here, so as you can see, we can use GCC with MinGW to compile a C file, okay, or an exploit on Linux to run on Windows, right? So if you have, like, if you want to compile, as I told you, C file and into Windows, it's going to run on Windows with the cross-compiling. Now, the next thing, guys, we need to make sure that we have on our Kali box is something called the Hyperion. Now, the Hyperion, this is an encryption program to bypass antivirus software. So let's go back to Firefox. So apparently, this one can be used to encrypt payloads to bypass antivirus detection. So here are the instructions to download it. So we go back, apt sudo apt install. So I have Hyperion set to manually installed. Okay, so it seems that we already have it. Okay, the next thing, guys, is Veil-Evasion. Now, as you all know, guys, Veil-Evasion is a tool that generates payload executables you can use to bypass common antivirus solutions. So how can we download it? Actually, we need to use wget for this. We go back and put wget, and we grab the link, GitHub. I think I have this tool, and you click enter, right? Once you click enter, you will be able to execute and run the tools. Okay, now the third tool you need to have, or you need to make sure that you have, is Ettercap. So we go back, if we type Ettercap, specify the interface. Okay, let me run it from here. I think I forgot how to use this tool. So here, sniffing Ettercap. Okay. So Ettercap, as you know, guys, is a tool for performing man-in-the-middle attacks, right? But before, okay, this is a tool. So, but before running for the first time, we need to make a couple of changes to the configuration file of Ettercap. The configuration file, yeah, fuck Windows, man. Just giving me warnings. I'm very irritated from this. Okay, close it down. I don't need it. All right. Okay, let's go back. Go to etc configuration file of Ettercap. Okay, nano. So this is the configuration file of the Ettercap, right? Now, some changes need to be done before we run this file or we run this tool. First, We need to find the user ID and the group ID values and change them to 0 so Ettercap can run with root privileges. Okay, let's scroll down. The user ID and the group ID. Here are the protocols and their corresponding ports. Here are the colors. But there is something missing, yeah? We need to find the group ID. I know I can search, but I like to scroll through all of these variables and make sure everything is set up correctly. Okay, the group ID and user ID. Here you go. So you set up these and make them 0. Since I am not using Ettercap right now, but if you want to do man-in-the-middle attacks on your network with Wireshark and Ettercap, set these two values to 0 so it can run with root privileges. All right. Now the next thing, guys, we need now to scroll down to the Linux section of the file. Let's scroll down to the Linux section of this file. Okay, here we have it. This is the Linux section. What you need to do here, guys, is to uncomment, meaning that we remove this character before the 2 lines. As you can see, we have this one. Wait, the scroll is not moving. Okay, so remove the comments from these 2 lines. This one, like this, right? I'm going to put it back. And this line, okay? Remove these 2 lines to get this up and running. And then exit the file and save it. I'm not going to save. All right. Now, these are the most 3 tools that you need to make sure they are up and running and configured correctly to do man-in-the-middle attacks, vulnerability management, and antivirus bypass. Now, what about mobile penetration testing? How can we set up mobile penetration testing on our lab? So basically, I'm going to show you some frameworks that we can use to set up like frameworks for doing mobile penetration testing. First thing, guys, we need to install Android Emulator. So basically, an Android Emulator, guys, lets you run a version of your mobile on your PC, right? The same interface. Okay, where is the prompt? Okay, so basically here, we can go to Android Emulator. Let's go to this one from Android. And we go to download. But we need it on Linux. So we go to download options. And we have here the options we have. So you can run on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So basically, we can download this file, all right, this one. And once we download the file, we go to terminal. It's going to be a tar file. So suppose that we have it on desktop or on this directory, we do tar. And here the name of the file is okay, put the name of the file. It's not rocket science. So put the name of the file here, and then you extract the zip file of the Android emulator. Now, the scope of this video, guys, is not to explain every single tool I am referring you to, right? You may be wondering why I don't download everything I'm telling you to download, right? Basically, it's going to take so much time. I'm just giving you guidelines how to set up your own labs and how to install it. So basically, once you install the Linux or the Android emulator, you can see many videos on how to install and run the Android emulator on YouTube, guys. After that, you can launch your mobile with the Android emulator and start doing mobile penetration testing. Now that's what you need to do for mobile penetration testing. You need an Android emulator set up on your system. Maybe we're going to do a separate video for that later, but that's for the preparation. Now the next thing comes, guys, is we need framework. Mobile penetration testing is done via frameworks, right? So one of the framework is smartphone pen test framework. So it's on GitHub. We will use this for mobile attacks. So how to download it? We go back to the terminal and we launch git clone, copy the URL and put it here and start it. So since this is penetration testing related, guys, let's download it and see how it works. So now we are downloading the framework. So what happened? Okay, let's make sure we have everything. Okay, so we have downloaded the tool. Let's go to directory and see what we have. We have README. Now, after we downloaded the tool, guys, we need to install something called the Kali install. But I think we should have more than one file here. Let's go back. Has been depreciated. I didn't know that. So the alternative is this one. So this tool, guys, the smartphone Pentest framework has been replaced with this tool. I didn't know that since I haven't practiced mobile penetration testing so long. So, and it has some kind of free trial, and it is web. It's a graphical GUI interface. It has GUI interface, and here are the features. Well, it is paid, but you can try it for free, basically, for 7 days after they try it, which is good. So this is the replacement for the smartphone penetration testing framework. Okay. Now, let's talk a bit about the virtual boxes, shall we? So let's close this one. And now we have determined what we need to download, what we need to make sure we have on our attacking system, right? Okay, let's now handle the virtual, the vulnerable boxes. Okay, so over here I have Windows. If you go to Windows, guys, we have some tweaks we need to make sure they are on, among which is the Windows Firewall. The Windows Firewall needs to be turned off on your Windows virtual machine. Why? Because when you do the reverse tunneling between your Windows machine and Linux, and doing the antivirus bypass, all of this stuff, you may encounter some problems with the firewall. The first thing to do, guys, we go to Control Panel, and from Control Panel we can see the firewall. Firewall, okay. All right, so here you need to turn off the firewall, right? So you can go to turn Windows Firewall on or off, and from here you click on turn off, turn off. Now I don't want to turn it off, so keep it as it is. We click X, and we need to make sure as well the Windows has a static IP address, not DHCP, right? You don't want the IP changes every second. So we go to control panel again. We were at the control panel actually, but I moved out of it. Okay, load icons, and we do network and trading center. Local connection. Okay, from here we go to properties. Okay, sorry, IPv4 and use static IP address. For example, right now let's see what is the current IP of the Windows system. ipconfig. So the IP is 94.2. So let's make sure this IP stays the same all the time. Default gateway. Okay. Now the next thing, guys, this is for Windows. This is for the Windows system, all right? Now, let's say that you want to install some kind of public server on the Windows system, right? So suppose that you want to treat this box as an end client, like a regular internal endpoint, and you want to treat this as a public-facing server. So basically, we need to use something called the XAMPP. So the XAMPP can be downloaded from the internet. Is it running? Let me put this back to, because it's not working. Okay. So we go to the internet and we download XAMPP for Windows. I'm not sure if this is 64 or 32, but I guess it's 32. Yeah, 32. Okay, so now we need to run this tool, guys, in order to turn the Windows 7 or the Windows system we have into a web server, right? So we can do web server penetration testing on a Windows system. Cannot be reached. Okay. Okay, download for Windows 64. I want 32. All 64. So it's not going to work on my system here, 32. I need to have 64-bit Windows. So it's not hard, guys. Just download the tool and start the control panel and run the Windows server, the web server. It's very easy. All right. Now, if you want to do some reverse engineering, right? You know, reverse engineering is not a penetration test. So normally they do reverse engineering to analyze the behavior of a specific malware, right? Most commonly in the cybersecurity field, that's the purpose of it. So for reverse engineering, guys, there are some tools on Kali Linux, among which is so reverse engineering. Very good. We have radar too, and we have only debug. But basically, guys, A very popular software called Immunity Debugger. You can also download Immunity Debugger, which works on Windows and on Linux. Okay, and also we have Mona. So Mona is kind of an extension to Immunity Debugger. When you integrate Immunity Debugger with Mona, it's going to be a perfect reverse engineering toolkit, guys. I have this on my Windows system, not on Linux, if I want to do some reverse engineering, but I don't do reverse engineering too much, so that's why I don't have it on my Kali box. But if you don't want to use Debugger or Immunity Debugger, you have already Radar 2 and you have Oli Debug. You can use them for reverse engineering. Okay. Now that's it for this video, guys. But before I wrap up, let me close these. Close that. Okay, let's turn off the Windows system or suspend it at least. Let's go back to Metasploitable. Now, if you want to do web application penetration testing, Metasploitable has you covered as well. You can use Mutillidae, Damner, Vulnerable Web App to practice your web application penetration testing. Now, Metasploitable comes shipped with these vulnerable boxes or vulnerable softwares once you download Metasploitable 2 or 3, all right, to practice your own web application penetration testing. Now, once the machine is up and running, I'm going to show you how to find them and how you can start practicing web application penetration testing. Okay. It's running now. Let's scan it. Find the IP of the Metasploitable box. I'm tired of this. Really? No IP. Let's log in. MSFadmin. MSFadmin. Config. Okay. 94.134. So let's go back. I have no idea why NetDiscover didn't show the IP. Okay. So this is the IP address on which the web server or the vulnerable web server of Metasploitable running. Okay, so as you can see, you have many vulnerable apps to practice. You have the damn vulnerable web app, Mutillidae, WebDAV, PHPMyAdmin, TWiki. Mutillidae is very common for OWASP practice. You can start with Mutillidae, but if you are beginner, I recommend using damn vulnerable web app. Right? The password is admin and password. And we have WebDAV. Oh, I'm missing here. All right, that's for OWASP. Now, it came. Okay. Now I recommend you guys to download Metasploitable 3, which I'm planning to download. I know I'm very late, but coming late better than not coming at all. So basically, that's it for this lesson, guys. I hope you had some useful information about how to set up your offline cybersecurity lab if you want to practice and prepare for OSCP offline without OSCP labs. Okay. All right then. Thank you so much.